why is it needed or why is it not needed? And we get asked that question quite a bit. The most useful way to kind of answer that question of whether you specifically need life insurance or not is, would your death financially impact the people in your life?
That's right.
And I think that right there is just a great way to if you can answer that question, if that answer is yes, then you should consider life insurance.
Right.
Period. So, and let's talk about that. Life insurance is a contract between you and an insurance company. And where you pay insurance premiums, you have to pay for the coverage in exchange for the insurer's commitment to pay what's called death benefit to specific people or organizations if you die while the policy is in effect. And the people who receive this benefit, this death benefit, which could be your spouse or children, for example, can use the money to cover financial needs, whether that's paying household expenses or covering debt.
Right.
And let's go, before we get into why it's not new, let's go into some situations or scenarios, and we're going to cover two specific today with kind of real life situations. But before we do that, let's kind of review a few scenarios where your death would most likely negatively affect someone else financially. So that one would be someone would inherit your debt. You're carrying debt, and your spouse or your partner relies on your income. Maybe your children depend on your income. Your minor children are unable to provide for themselves, and you would almost certainly be put in a major disadvantage if they had to replace your income. Sure. So those are some main things. Your heirs would owe estate taxes. And then right now, you may think, well, my situation, I don't necessarily have an estate tax issue. And at $11.5 million, maybe you don't.
Yeah, but that never changes.
That never changes. As long as we're going to have politicians, that will never change, that rate. So $11.7 million is what that figure is today or in 2021, but there's legislation. The rumor is it's going down to $3.5 million.
Yeah. So that's been proposed
thrown
around in Washington.
And we've got this thing called the national debt. You may have heard of it. It's getting greater by the second, by the minute, and they're looking potentially for ways to tax and bring that down.
If I remember correctly, don't quote me or hold me to this, but I think it was at $1 million at one point, wasn't it? Anything over $1 million or somewhere around. It was pretty low at one point in the 80s, and during the Bush administration, they raised that quite a bit.
They did. That was the year there was no estate tax.
Right.
And that's the year your favorite team's owner, George Steinbrenner, died. His family paid no estate tax.
Right. Right.
So if you were going to die with an estate, that was the year you needed to die.
He was always a winner.
He won. He beat the government. But if your heirs would have owed estate taxes, we just covered that. Your funeral would be a financial burden to the people that are left. The average cost of a funeral is close to $8,000, the average cost, and it could cost more depending on your wishes at that time.
So with all this back to the estate, kind of really pointing back to the estate tax, why would life insurance be a help in that situation?
Good, yeah. Well, if your assets total up to above whatever that estate tax determined threshold is, your heirs are going to have to pay a significant tax, close to up to around 50% on the dollars above that level.
Right.
All right. Now that's after your spouse. If it goes to your spouse, there's a threshold, but what it normally encounters, that large estate tax burden, is above that level.
And in almost all situations or most situations, life insurance benefits are tax-free.
Tax-free. So for those that would go above that level, life insurance would pay out a tax-free death benefit that, in essence, you would use it instead of your heirs having to maybe fire sale some assets, they would have that death benefit there to pay that estate tax.
Right.
Well, there's two other reasons why life insurance might be appropriate or certain situations. Your funeral would be a financial burden, as the median or average cost is around $8,000, and it could be higher based off your wishes. And another reason would be your business and the people that its employees. That might be a situation where if you're not around any longer, then the business may fail if it didn't have you at the helm.
So you and I are a great example of that. We're co-owners in a business.
Exactly.
Each own half of the business, and we each do specific duties that are important to the business. Now, everybody tries to set it up where if your business is set up well, it could run without you, and that's kind of a goal that everyone should work toward.
And we think we have a good succession plan in place with each other. We've always said 2 heads are better than one, and we have life insurance in place to take care of that burden. But many businesses owners we found don't. They're kind of the CPU of the business. Their head is the and what they have inside that head. If that head's no longer working and they've passed away, then the business will go away. And life insurance could be a way to bridge that gap until someone comes in to continue that business or succession plan.
But the other option is my wife could just come work with you.
And I think the answer was the same as if that happened on my scenario, and Amanda could come work with you. So therefore, we have life insurance.
Plus, I don't think they would want to work with one of us anyway.
No, exactly. So it's we're thankful to have those succession plan in place, and neither one of them they will benefit, but not working with each other or with one of us.